Welcome, everybody. We are living in a romance apocalypse. There are more single adults than ever before. Marriage is on the decline. The birth rate is at the lowest point in history. And people are not connecting and forming real relationships. For the first time in human history, the very concepts of marriage and romance, God, the family, gender, and even our national anthem are under attack. Our American values have been slowly deteriorating and replaced with liberal, progressive values. We are in the middle of not only the romance apocalypse, but a war on our very souls. Speaking the truth is called hate speech. Patriotism is now called racism. Believing in God makes you a bigot. The current state of America is directly intertwined with the current state of our relationships. We are actively enslaving ourselves into a loveless, joyless, genderless future. Men and women of common sense and a moral compass need to wake up to this destructive madness that is being thrust upon us in the name of progressiveness and political correctness, and look ahead to where this ultimately taking us. We can make love great again. We can make America great again. But we need to remember who we are. We need to remember the spirit and the values that once made America so great.
This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. And this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy. And we will make America great again.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. It's DeAnna Lorraine, your relationship and dating coach, your red-pilled relationship and dating coach. And I am broadcasting to you live from the New Right Network. Woohoo! I am the defender of American values and the defender of relationship values because I believe that they're both intertwined. And today it is Friday. It is Friday and 4:20. Woohoo! How's everyone doing today? Good, good. I am broadcasting live from Periscope, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. So I've got a couple different chats open right now. So sometimes I'm going to be looking at the chat and I'm going to be seeing you guys, answering the questions. But, you know, as usual, I like to go on my rants when I talk about a certain topic. We're going to be going over some topics in the news today, and I'll be having my rant. You guys are free to talk amongst yourselves in the chat room, for sure. I want to welcome my family, my Making Love Great Again family. I call you guys my family because we are like family, and we all are part of the same family. We are part of the American family. And guess what, though? Here's the thing. Here's the cool thing, is that even if you're not an American and you don't live in America, but you have these values, you have more traditional values, you have the values that Americans once had, which are common sense, a strong work ethic, personal responsibility, sense of commitment, God, you believe in family, you believe in gender, and you don't think it's obsolete, and you believe in, you know, civil law and order and our Constitution. If you believe that those things make a great country, then it doesn't matter where you are in the world, because we're all entitled to have that sense of nationalism and pride in our country, right? We're all supposed to have that. That's what makes all countries so great and ultimately the world so great. So if you believe that, then great, you're supposed to be here. But this is the Make Love Great Again family, and I welcome all of you guys, and I thank you all for your support, and thank you for your engagement, and it's always good to be here and be talking with y'all. So talk amongst yourselves in the chat room, because I'm going to be in there as well. Hey everybody, and thanks. Yeah, it's actually a sweater dress, believe it or not. So it's a full-blown dress. And guess what? It's Friday. It's 4/20. We've got some interesting stories today, including one that relates to 4/20. Does everyone have their coffee this morning? Cool, because I'm ready to get started. Yes. Hey everyone in the rooms. DeAnna, did you see what the state of California is trying to do about banning Bibles? Oh yeah, this is crazy. And not only, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it today. This is crazy. But this is more than just, you know, this is more than just, again, this is more than just a battle for our sovereignty. This is more than just a battle for our relationships, for our family. This is about a battle on our souls. This is why I say this so much in the opening. And Make Love Great Again, this is my book, you guys, on Amazon. But I say this so much in my book because this isn't about just our country. This is about our souls. This is what's really happening. There really is a war right now. There's a spiritual war going on. It's spiritual warfare, you guys. And until everyone recognizes that there's a spiritual war going on, it has been going on, and we will lose this battle if we don't band together and fight, fight, fight. Fight, fight, fight. You know, we have to do something. And maybe it won't do anything at all. Maybe we'll get nowhere. But at least we can't roll over backwards and take it up the wahoo and say, yeah, liberals, just take me how you want to. And just take over and bulldozer all our values. Bulldoze over my soul. We've got to fight for our souls here and fight for our future. And if we want to have children or our children's children having futures, then this is for their future too. We cannot be selfish. We cannot be thinking just for ourselves. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and this leads me to my next segue. All right? This leads me to my opening for today, and I want you to keep this in mind. Funny you say that about a Bible. The Bible, there's a quote from the Bible about love. And everyone's probably heard of this. It's a very famous quote. It's about love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongdoings. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices in truth. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. It always perseveres. Now, I want you to keep this quote from the Bible in mind throughout my whole segment today. All right? Especially, I want you to take note of a couple particular sections about this. 1, envy and pride. Envy and pride, or boasting, they're two different sides of the same coin. Both spring from a self-centered desire to somehow be better than other people. Envy is self-centeredness. It's manifested in areas where we perceive ourselves to be lacking, less than, relative to other people. We're envying what they have. Pride is self-centeredness manifested in areas where we perceive others to be lacking relative to us. Love says that we shouldn't have either. We shouldn't be envious of other people, because when we're envious of other people, that is not a loving state, right? Number 2, think no evil And love does not keep track of wrongdoings. Okay? So in this verse, it talks about how we're not supposed to keep score. Love isn't supposed to be like that. That's not really the energy or the feeling of love, to be keeping score of someone's wrongdoings and holding these grudges. Because when we're doing that, we're not present to the person in front of us, and we're not present to the emotion of love. And lastly, the last part of this I want to highlight is the truth. Love rejoices in truth. Love rejoices with the truth. Deception and falsehoods are basically, they're tricks of the devil. They are not based in love. So when we're trying to trick someone, or when we're deceiving others or ourselves, we're not engaging in love. Love rejoices in truth. Okay? Now, with that being said, I want you to keep this in mind the whole show. Really, every show. Okay? So here's the first story I want to go over today. This is another, I want to go over this daily outrage, okay? And I'm going to call this segment Current Craziness, because who can think of anything other than crazy when we hear these stories? When we hear these crazy stories, it makes us rational, sane people go, WTF, right? What is this? So let's go over the current craziness right now. And we can go to the comments after. Okay, now I thought this was from The Onion at first. I thought this was a joke because it's so ridiculous, but let's see what happens, okay? Let me see what you guys think. Oxford University cancels a weed-themed party amid cultural appropriation concerns. All right, guys, today it's 420. Woo, 420. Yeah. So, because it's 420, obviously, colleges appropriately are going to have 420 parties. Like, come on. What's so wrong about a 420 party? I went to them. Medical marijuana, who cares, right? It's legal for most states. So Oxford cancels a weed-centered party amid cultural appropriation concerns. How do they do that? Now, here's what's crazy is, you cannot, these days, you can't find a social justice compliant party theme anywhere. It's, at this point, it's almost impossible, if not impossible, because someone's going to find something wrong and offensive with everything. Let's just see how crazy these people are. So Oxford University decided to cancel this cannabis-themed party amid concerns. I don't know if you guys heard about it. So guests were supposed to dress up as their favorite, quote-unquote, stoner icon in honor of the internationally recognized day of protest for the legalizing of marijuana. So guests are encouraged to dress like stoners, like, okay, Snoop Dogg, Todd from BoJack, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, Harold and Kumar, whatever, Super Troopers, okay? And the flyer or the party invitation says clearly that the JRCNs do not condone its usage in any way, both in the event or otherwise. All right. And then it says on the disclaimer on the event invitation, it says, if you're white, don't try to go as Snoop Dogg or Bob Marley. Blackface isn't cool. Okay. Now, even that, to be honest with you, I think that's kind of ridiculous. Obviously, blackface isn't cool, but if you just want to dress up like Bob Marley or Snoop Dogg and you're white, like, why can't we do that anymore? Come on. I've dressed up as Bob Marley for a party one time. Why? Why is that wrong? But anyways, I'll get to that later. So the second warning was not enough. That you would think would be enough to quell concerns, but the students were still concerned that it would somehow cause cultural appropriation, and sadly, the event was canceled. They said, we recognized quickly that there were many real problems with this theme, and it was consequently changed. The entertainment team told the college newspaper, to reiterate, the event will not be going ahead with this theme. But it's 420. Come on, people. Party poopers of the century. We regret and apologize for any offense or distress which this may have caused, it continued. So it says, that the party could be offensive to people who might have negative experiences of drugs or addiction. But a cultural appropriation? Like, I really don't get a cultural appropriation. How could they spin this into cultural appropriation? You know, what if, and I was thinking this too when I read it, 70s themed parties, you know? I mean, there's Cinco de Mayo parties. I'm going to a Cinco de Mayo party on Cinco de Mayo, and guess what? I'm going to wear a sombrero, and I'm going to wear a fake mustache. I'm going to dress up like Cinco de Mayo because it's festive and because it's a party. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm sorry. I'm going to drink margaritas with fellow hombres, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. How's that? You can shove your cultural appropriation up your butt. Sorry, people, but this has gone way too far. Way too far. I mean, I really don't know what to say. I'm speechless. If you can't have a 420 themed party and people are no longer free to dress up like Shaggy or dress up, you know, in the dreadlocks, you know, just for funsies, and you can't dress up anymore like each other, or now even like the theme of weed could be offensive to people because that could trigger someone to feel like there's drug addiction or something, then we are no longer living in a free speech country. We no longer have free speech. It is an illusion. And we should stop just pretending that we have free speech. We might as well just stop pretending and be open about it and say, guess what? We're living in essentially a communist country and we have no free speech. Free speech is gone. So why not? Why not just come out right and say it? We don't have free speech anymore. And this is so scary. This is so totalitarian that they are taking our last fun away. But this all has to do with Marxism. This is the plan. Cultural Marxism tries to stamp out any creativity, any individuality, and any fun because we're easier to control when we're just fighting each other and we don't have any release. We don't have any enjoyment in life. We have no fun because when we're miserable and depressed, then we're going to look to a savior, the government, to save us, essentially. So yeah, this is ridiculous. Now, let's talk about something else. And now this is, again, this is not me going off on black culture or blacks, African Americans, or immigrants at all. This is not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just speak some logic into this whole thing and trying to understand how we got here and what we need to do to overcome this and get back to our American dream and our American values. So next up, this is what's crazy. You know, here's another example of this crazy cultural appropriation that is ruining relationships in society. So, so this is ridiculous. Black students assault white hippie for appropriating dreadlocks. So here's another example of this. This is exactly what we're talking about. Here's what happens. A black female student in San Francisco assaults a white male student for appropriating dreadlocks Monday before attacking a cameraman as well. The video begins mid-conversations as two black students confront the white student over his alleged theft of their culture. And basically the guy says, so you're saying I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture? The white student can be heard saying, why? Because it's my culture, the black student responds. It's my culture. So you can just see this little scuffle right here.
You're saying that I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture? Why?
Because it's my culture. Do you know what box means?
Do you know it was in Egyptian culture? Are you Egyptian? Nah, bro, you're not.
Are you Egyptian?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, where's Egypt? Tell me.
You know what, girl?
Where's Egypt?
Dude, girl, you have no right to tell me what I can or can't. Huh?
Where's Egypt?
She's consistently bullying him. I thought we were against bullying, by the way.
Come back.
Get off of me.
Come back. Come back. You put your hands on me, don't worry.
I thought we were against bullying.
You make some shit because of what the hair I have? That's no reason, yo. I don't need your disrespect. I don't need your disrespect.
Why are you filming this?
For everyone's safety.
Oh, and then she proceeds to attack the cameraman. So I don't know. I don't know what to think of this except for this is craziness, and I'm tired of these kinds of things happening. I'm tired of these double standards. I mean, what happened to, well, let me just go on to the next story and then we can have our big discussion. So the Starbucks, you guys have seen what happened with the Starbucks, right? The Starbucks, 2 guys were kicked out of Starbucks. We talked about it yesterday. And you know what's really sad too is that the girl, the manager who the manager who called the police on them, she got fired from Starbucks. She got fired from her job. And also she's gotten this huge backlash of people tarring and feathering her on national TV, calling her a racist and saying that she's racist and she was out of line and she's a bad manager. And this is what's so horrible. Like, her reputation could be ruined. Maybe her career could be ruined. And for the time being it is, because she got fired from her job. Why? Because she did her job. Because she dared to enforce the rules. That's why she got fired. So what kind of a message is that sending people? Enforce the rules and you're going to get fired? Enforce the rules and you're going to be called a racist? Enforce the rules and your reputation is going to be ruined? Look the other way only for black people or people of color? Look the other way for them, but for everyone else who enforce the rules? I mean, what kind of message is this sending our society, and what kind of society is this creating where lawlessness is the norm? And here's what else. Now they're turning this into a gentrification issue. Gentrification, I just learned this word recently. It's another made-up Marxist word like cultural appropriation and mansplaining and man-spreading. So let's look at this word and see how this story is being turned into a gentrification story. Starbucks arrests show how gentrification endangers Black lives. Okay, I want you to also just point out the many lies and hypocrisies in this story. And of course, it's from the good old Huffington Post. White fear and loathing of black bodies has struck again in the city of brotherly love. Is that really the city of brotherly love? The viral video of Philadelphia police arresting 2 African-American men at Starbucks last week is yet another reminder that black lives in America are deemed to be disposable. Is that actually what it means? Or is this a reminder that someone was just enforcing a rule at Starbucks? I don't know. I mean, you are hallucinating a story, sure, but that doesn't mean that's the truth. Moreover, it's a reminder that capitalism and gentrification and the systematic eraser of black flesh are at the core of this and other recent crimes against black men. It is time to address these issues alongside the plague of racist policing in America. So then it goes on to say, and this is yet another, this is all part of this plan to always blame anyone other than whose fault it really is. So it says the responsibility for this incident lies with both the initial police call and the police officers who responded to the call. So not only is it saying, so the responsibility has nothing to do with the 2 black men who stood there for 7 minutes, sat there for 7 minutes arguing with the cops and also broke the rule. Okay, so of course the responsibility is not on them at all. It's on everyone else but them. That's what the blame. So we're teaching this Obama era of shifting the blame, never taking personal responsibility, never manning up. It's everyone's fault but yours. I'm a victim. The store manager in this case was acting as the guardian of the Starbucks position. A black body at rest. Look how dramatic this is. This is how they garner up sympathy for people. This is how they create their movements. This is how they create their outrage. Notice their writing. The writing, it's all in the writing. It's hypnosis at its finest. I have studied NLP and hypnosis for years. I'm NLP certified and NLP practitioner. I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. I understand how writing is hypnotic. God, I can't talk today. I understand how writing is hypnotic and how they embed hypnotic suggestions in writing. And the Marxist leftists are perfections at this. They are perfect. They're brilliant at this. So it's all just hypnotic language to inspire outrage. A black body at rest, not moving, not speaking loudly, asking to use the restroom presented an existential threat. It's an existential threat. The crime, not consuming. Okay, let's just again say the truth. The crime is not consuming. The crime was not following the rule. Ascribing malicious intent, the manager called the police, who promptly responded by arresting and jailing them. No, it was at least 7 minutes before they arrested them. At least 7 minutes they were arguing with them. In the racialized space of capitalist gentrification, police are not only the arbiters of the peace, they are the muscle of retail racism. You can only be in the space if you transcend your blackness by showing us some green dollars. Well, that's called a store, a business. A place of business means you go there not to just consume things for free, but you consume things in exchange for money. It's called capitalism and a business. Oh my God. I mean, this is so crazy town. Just days before the Starbucks arrest, a mentally ill black man named Sahid Vassell was shot and killed by police in the rapidly gentrifying Brooklyn neighborhood. Possibly some new white neighbors. Why? Because some new white neighbors called the cops on him. Okay. So whoever called 911 saw him as an existential threat with a gun in his hand. That turned out to be a metal pipe. Now, I'm going to show this clip in a second. If you haven't seen it already, I would call the cop on this person. I would hope anyone would call the cop on this person because it's scary. He's scaring the crap out of people. Gentrification is stripping people not only of their homes, but also of their dignity in their lives and is effectively whitening public spaces. Whitening. Who's the racist here? Spatial racism, the eraser of black faces in a predominantly white city, is in full effect. The racism demands that bodies that don't conform to a mandated white status quo can be redlined out of a space. This has happened in cities across America through geography, Jim Crow, sundown laws, and housing prices. Boundaries designed to keep black bodies out of white spaces. Well, actually, they're not designed to keep black bodies out of white spaces. They're designed to keep a certain either quality of life or a certain type of living, a residency, a certain kind of nicer neighborhood. And anyone can join these places. Anyone can live here. So this is turning what was once an ethnically diverse area into a retail and housing paradise for well-heeled young white families and retired. Is there a sign that says no black people can live here? I'm pretty sure there isn't. Oh man, so I would expect the manager of Starbucks had seen people there many times, let them use the bathroom and let other patrons buy without buying drinks. For the two black men arrested, it would seem it was their skin color, coupled with their refusal to purchase, that kicked retail racism into effect. No, this is all your delusional speculation. This is all your delusions. Okay, this is not fact at all. This is not at all fact-based. It's not at all truth. But you can see how one person, one writer who's influential in a very influential, very well-read magazine, Huffington Post, can cause outrage, group outrage, because they're reading these words and the way that they're writing them, they're speaking them like it's facts, like it's truth. Okay, now look at what he said. This innocent man that got caught the other day, that got killed, this very innocent guy, you know, who it was all because of the white man that called the police on him that he got killed. It was all because of the white man, right? And if there were no white people living in this area, he wouldn't have been shot and killed. Well, let's take a look at this video real quick in case you haven't seen it. Let's watch this again.
Three different 911 callers described the man with the gun pointing it at people on the street.
I'm sorry, but that's pretty terrifying.
Central, shot fire, Central, left the butt, left the butt.
Just want to watch it one more time because this is how they spin the news. They completely
3 different 911 callers described
leave
the
out
man
some
with-
very important situations, some very important facts, right? So this is how they spin things, right? This is how they spin. This is how the spin doctors come around, and you know, it's amazing to me the level of naivete and obliviousness that just these sheeple consume when they watch these things or when they read these stories. All they do is follow the narrative that's spoon-fed to them. They don't do any research on their own. They don't do any fact-finding. They don't see it objectively. They just see this as, this is an example of institutionalized racism. When honestly, I would hope that anyone would call the police on that guy. I mean, you have a split second to determine if he's going to kill you or not, and he's going around pointing what looks very much like a gun in people's faces and in children's faces. I mean, what are you going to do? Take a few minutes and be like, wait a second, let me check my institutionalized racism and my subconscious bias for just a minute while I check and scan him up and down and see, is that really a gun? Maybe that's a metal pipe. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. No. When we think our life is in danger, or someone that we care about's life is in danger, and we see him walking down the street with a gun, you have a split second to defend yourself. A split-second decision. And cops, police, especially in a very dangerous area like Brooklyn, they see dangerous, crazy stuff every single day. Hours every day, right? They have legitimate reasons for raising their gun and probably shooting someone all the time. So when in that moment, when they're not sure if this is a gun or not, but he's taking a gun stance and 3 separate people have called and said, this is a gun, this guy looks crazy, he's going to shoot people. They don't have a second to check if they're actually biased or not by the color of his skin. They just see someone violent and crazy and that they need to put a stop to it. Was 10 rounds necessary? I don't know. I'm not sure what the proper protocol is. That sounds a little extreme. Maybe they should have shot him in the foot or the leg or something instead. I don't know the proper protocol. But again, it's a split-second decision. And so when you're putting cops and organizations through this unconscious bias training, what you're really doing is having people not be protective of their own lives or other people's lives, because you're making people pause in a moment of violence. You're making people pause when their natural instinct would be to protect themselves. Now all of a sudden their natural instinct is going to be switched around to protecting the other person's feelings. Now let's read this a little bit more because it's not over yet and it's ridiculous, and then we'll go to the comments. So spatial, okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let's talk about this. For the 2 black men arrested, it would seem only their skin color coupled with their refusal to purchase that kicked that racism into effect. Now, here's the other thing that I don't understand. Oh, wait, let me continue this article. It is important to note, this is where the double standard comes in and the hypocrisy and what I don't understand at all. But it is important to note that had it not been for the other patrons who were white, this unjust arrest may have had a different outcome. White patrons who spoke up, challenging the arrest, and filming the encounter helped to make this situation public. Incidents of racial bias and implicit bias happen to African Americans of every social class daily in America. White people seldom notice or dwell on these as they encounter the quotidian events of their day. So you just acknowledged that they probably wouldn't have been even noticed if it weren't for the white people that videotaped this on their cell phones and that spoke up and said something. And if you guys have seen the video of them arrested at Starbucks, you would see it was white people that spoke up and said, hey, I think this is wrong. The guys weren't doing anything wrong. You know, you shouldn't arrest them. And they were actually defending them. And it was a white person that uploaded the video from their phone and made this big scene about it. So in this same breath, he acknowledges that if it weren't for the white people in this city that he thinks that he's disgusted about because it's turned more white, if it weren't for them, then it would have had a different outcome. It wouldn't have been good for the black people, right? But then, because he can't possibly acknowledge that white people could possibly do something good for them, he had to go and bash them in the next sentence. White people seldom notice or dwell on these as they encounter the quotidian events of their day. So then isn't white people being in a black city maybe good for them? Maybe a crazy man running around with something that looks like a gun is something that even black people should call the police on, right? I mean, call me crazy, but anyone should call the police on that guy. And so why it's almost like they're upset at white people, the way that they live, and yet they're actually helping them. It's the white people that are helping them. And I'm not saying all white people help black people or anything like that. I'm just saying in these two incidents, if they're blaming the white person for helping them, I don't know. I can't really understand, and yet they're bashing them in the same breath. It really makes no sense to me. So I'm going to go to the chat room for a minute before we go on to our next thing. But this is just an example of how this constant race baiting, it's causing such a division that there's no way that a black person, I mean, and I want to actually hand it over to you, the people in my chat room who I know are black, conservative, and they don't buy into this. But how can you grow up with this kind of rhetoric, and with this kind of reading these kinds of articles, seeing these news stories, and not hate white people, right? Because it's teaching you that there is no good bone in a white person's body, that they can't possibly help, and that they're bad, and anything that white people do, even if it's for something good, it's somehow they spin it to something negative, right? It's harboring so much hate and so much division in our country. So what about you guys? I'm going to hand it over to the chat room for a minute, because I know that was just a lot of information before we go on to the next segment. There were white people in the store who hadn't ordered anything but didn't receive the same treatment. So here's the thing. I agree, but we don't know if the people in the store, sometimes the store is busy and a manager can't keep track of everyone who's coming in and out of the door. Sometimes the store is not busy, and maybe they just notice them and say, okay, you can't use the bathroom, and they notice people coming in and out. So I don't know. We don't know if the person really was racist and biased, or if there was just a moment where she noticed someone going in the bathroom, or they didn't notice someone going in the bathroom. But I do think the left overreacted, as they always do, yes. But even though it is questionable what happened at Starbucks, anytime a business tells you to vacate, just go ahead and vacate and don't beg them to take your money. I agree. Those men should have just left peacefully and put them on blast later if they were mad about it. Yes. This could have been staged. Yeah, I guess it could have been staged, huh? It could have been staged, actually. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's possible. I'm very fortunate to have a black roommate and great friend who does not believe white people are evil. He's one of my favorite human beings. That's amazing. That is amazing. And I have many black friends too, or several, not many, that don't buy into this either. And I think the more people that do, the more people that understand that this is not the way to go. This is not love, right? And thank you for all the loves on Periscope. I'm just checking in with the crowd. Thank you for all the loves. Thank you for all the hearts. Yay! So just a reminder that I'm checking in between Periscope and YouTube and Facebook. So if I sometimes pause for a minute, it's because I'm just checking the chat rooms. Thank you. Okay, guys. Now I want to move on to, this is all just to prove a point, just to illustrate a point. Thank you for the loves. Okay. Whoops. Woo-hoo-hoo. Okay, so a couple other things, and then we'll move on. Okay. Okay, here's the other one. I believe that this is the one that... Yeah, okay. How they shot him. So watch this tape. I think that you can see this.
Hey, what's going on there?
Yeah, it's guys going down the street breaking windows of cars. He busted both my truck windows out. He busted these in the people's backyard right now.
Running to the south. 4902, Audible on Arden.
Okay, so I'm showing you that because
yeah, it's guys going down the street breaking windows of cars.
It's just pretty scary, right? Now, did they need to shoot that many times? I don't think so. I don't believe they need to shoot with that much force. But however, it was pretty scary, right? I mean, what he was doing was he was going down the street and just breaking windows and breaking into several cars. I guess he had broken into several cars already at the time being. And the guy who called the cops on him, he had already busted through his truck windows and was kind of going on a rampage and breaking windows of houses and cars, and what looked like he had an object in his hand that looked like a gun. So at that point, you know, we have to just see the facts. We have to see the facts before we have this outrage. And you know, the black folks are raising a fit and saying that it's the white people, it's this gentrification, the whitening of their cities that are causing these problems with blacks. But only maybe, I mean, is it because white people respect law and order more, or they want more civility in their neighborhoods? They want more safety in their neighborhoods? Like, even if that was all black people, that shouldn't be tolerated anyways. Why is this behavior tolerated? Like, they're just going to roll over and be like, oh, that's just black people. That's just the black neighborhood. And no worries. I'm just going to have my truck windows busted in. I mean, that behavior should stop anyways. So we need to respect the rule of law, and we need to start acting out of love instead of whatever this is that they're doing right now. And here's one last thing, one last clip I want to show you to wrap up my point here. So here are the two guys that were on TV shows this week talking about it.
Working on this for months.
What do you say to some people who say...
Oops. What just happened?
Rules are rules. That Starbucks has a policy. You violated that policy. The police asked you repeatedly...
Let me rewind that for a
leave,
second.
and you didn't. What do you say to some people who say rules are rules? That Starbucks has a policy. You violated that policy.
Rules are rules.
The police asked you repeatedly to leave, and you didn't. How do you respond to people who say that?
What I say is I understand that. Rules are rules, but what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And that's in any situation, whether there's race involved, anything.
And Robin, I'm sorry, but
Okay, so exactly, let me just play this one more time because it's kind of unbelievable. And this is the issue right now.
How do you respond to people who say that?
What I say is I understand that. Rules are rules, but what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
No.
And that's in any...
No, but that's the thing, though. That's the problem, is that rules are in place for a reason. Rules are in place for a reason. We have, for instance, the Constitution for a reason. It's very well thought out. There's a reason for our rules. There's a reason for our Constitution. And the thought process, for instance, behind you can't use the bathroom in a place of business unless you buy something, it's very legitimate. It's very rational. If you go there and you just have a bunch of people loitering around without paying for anything, but they're using the bathroom and using the Wi-Fi, you can get a whole lot of people just taking up seats and causing a ruckus or causing trouble, and the business isn't even making money off of it. So rules are rules, and they should be honored. They should be respected. Not what's right is right. And this is the problem with the Obama era generation. He's created this generation of radical rebels, people who do not honor any laws, who don't honor any law and order. They don't care about rules. They throw it out the window. It's whatever they feel like doing at the time. It's moral relativity, whatever I feel like doing. And if I can twist it in my head to believe that this is right and then maybe convince other people that it's right, then that is good. That overrules the rule. That's what Obama and these crazy radical communist leaders that we have are teaching our children, teaching our youth. We can see this example right here today. And we have to, back in before 1960s, before these radical groups, we had more law and order, right? And we had civility. We had respect towards each other. We respected the law, and people may not always have gotten along, but they really did get along. It's way more than we did now. They respected these laws. They respected America. They respected each other. And they knew we all kind of shared a same moral compass in America, right? We shared a same moral compass. And we did... we all kind of agreed on the same moral compass. We didn't deviate from too much. And if we did deviate from it, we said, no, this isn't good. We would frown upon it. That's what we should get back to. I agree. Some people said, why would they have to shoot him at all? Could they have just tased him? I think so. I think that if you tase them, I don't know, tase them or shoot them in the foot or shoot them in the leg, I don't know, something like that could have been probably better. That's my guess, but I also don't know the procedures. I don't know how NYPD works. I don't know if this is their policy. I really don't know because I'm not a police officer. I also don't know, what their training is and how often they get shot out in that split second. So, yeah, just go into the chat rooms, guys. I'm checking the chat rooms. Yeah, the lawless generation started really in the 60s, actually. It started in the 60s, I think. No, I know it started in the 60s, but I'm saying Obama really kind of solidified it. He was kind of the nail in the coffin with this. Well, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go, and I think I'm going to take my work to Starbucks every day for the next 2 weeks. And I'm just going to sit there and sprawl out with my laptop. I'm just going to make Starbucks my office. And I'm just going to see, are they going to say anything or not? I'm going to use the bathroom all day long. I'm going to ask for water all day long, but I'm not going to buy anything. And I would suggest that you guys do the same. Yes, exactly, Johnny Bravo. There is no unifying narrative anymore. Everything is atomized, yes. Will says, I don't think anyone should enter a business and not patronize said business. I agree. I work at Starbucks a lot, actually. And sometimes I really don't feel like buying a coffee, or I don't feel like buying a sandwich or whatever. But I feel bad going there and working with my laptop and not buying anything. So I always had. But now I'm not going to. Now, I'm curious, for those who are Black, I know there's a lot of Black folks that follow me, and I really appreciate you and love you, and I applaud you for your courage. I think you're amazing, and I applaud you for your courage to think for yourself and to think outside the box and know that you are really fighting against the grain here. You're really having a hard time. Probably one of the hardest people that are in our culture are Blacks or gays or other minorities who, and legal immigrants who have conservative values and who are not left-leaning, who aren't liberals. So I ask you, I thank you so much for your courage. I think you're amazing. What is it that we can do to knock some sense into people, to knock some sense into illegal immigrants, to knock some sense into minorities, Black folks? What can we do to have them see that they're just really being used by the left, that they're being used by people of color, they're being used by the left for votes, and really that's it, that the left does not care about them. The left doesn't care about their well-being or their inner cities, about fixing things. They don't care. And really it's the conservative values that are going to make a huge difference in their lives and in their families and in their country. What can we do to bring them over to the lighter side? Is there anything that we can do about that? Do you really want to know the truth, DeAnna? I think I do. Yes. Yeah, I want to get more people to wake up. I want more people woke to see the good side, to see the side that that understand that there is a battle between evil and good right now. And evil really represents the left. The left represents all that is evil and wrong. It's like dealing with addicts. They have to hit rock bottom before they start looking to rise to the top. That's good. That's good, DJ. That's some good stuff. And I feel that too. I feel like because they're so brainwashed. They're so brainwashed. But then again, white people are too. There's plenty, obviously, of white liberals that are totally brainwashed, have no idea what they're supporting. They don't understand that the very things that they're supporting are completely antithetical to love and to a thriving country and to personal success for everybody in this country, to more liberty, life, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we all want. Yes, it's a matter of showing them that leftism is damaging them. I'm just reading the comments, guys. Actually, you know what the funny thing is? Not funny, but it's ironic that when I actually looked into Black Lives Matter and I looked into the numbers for cops shooting people, they actually shoot whites more than blacks. I found that they shot whites in 2016 and 2015 at a much higher rates than blacks. And they shot, in second in line were Mexicans. They shot Mexicans second and then blacks. So what are these facts that we're fabricating here? What are these facts that are being fabricated and downright lies that they're now creating entire movements around? Okay, a couple other things that we're going to go over. Wow, we we are getting close to the end here. Okay, and then we will wrap up soon. Oh, this hour just flies by so quickly. Okay, so Time Magazine just released its 100 most influential people of 2018. Didn't you guys see this? 100 most influential people of 2018. You want to hear what they chose? I'll tell you what they chose. This is ridiculous, guys. Among their top 100 people of the year, but some of them were good. They chose Trump, and they actually chose Roseanne Barr, and that's good. But among the 100 people of the year, most influential, they chose, drumroll please, David Hogg and the Crisis Actor Posse. Woo! And Barack Obama, of course, wrote them. We're going to go to them in a minute. So David Hogg and the Crisis Actor Posse, Kendall Wiley, the racist artist, Jimmy Kimmel, the guy who hurls insults and bullies Trump and his family every single day, Maxine Waters, who says the most racist things ever and calls for the impeachment and the death of Donald Trump, our president, and Sadiq Khan, the London governor, who believes that we should ban all knives as well as all weapons. And he believes that London is one of the safest cities that people can take example after. So let's just see real quick. Let's peer into the stupidity of the Times 100 most influential people of the year. Sadiq Khan. Oh man, this guy is insane. He has been a voice of reason on Brexit. He can accelerate our progress. Now, by progress, do you mean progress like driving cities into the ground? Is that what you mean by progress? Okay, if that's what you mean by progress, then sure, he's going to accelerate progress. He's a rising star who has a bright political future. Somewhere down the road, I wouldn't be surprised to see him living at 10 Downing Street. All right, you're real cool. Let's go back to full list. And we'll see the other people. Let's just read what they have to say about them, because it's really comical. Oh, it's the Me Too movement gal. She's on there, yeah. And Natasha Sarkeesian, you know, Natasha Sarkeesian, the man-hater of the century, who talks about men should basically be extinguished from the earth. Okay, let's go here real quick. It's really amazing. It's really amazing the kind of people that Time Magazine and all these leftist magazines, you know, the influence that they have. They have so much influence. They have so many readers that just consume all of this as if it's fact, as if it's good, and it's garbage. And you can really see how they shape public opinion. It's all social engineering. Chop, chop. Trevor Noah. Good old Trevor Noah. Kendi Wiley. So, this is funny because, have you seen Kendi Wiley's pictures? I mean, he's the one who painted the pictures of the Obamas. But it's crazy because he says that instead of using his art to assimilate into mainstream society, he goes minor stream, creating major works. And including one of me and the former President Obama, speaks to his creative genius. So he is a creative genius. All right, well, let's just see how creative he is. Because to me, and to most people who are sane and emotionally healthy, he is a violent racist. Look at some of his photos. Have you guys seen his photos of the black people decapitating white people? What kind of message is this sending? Black person, angry, decapitating white person. And here's another one. Black person, angry, decapitating a white person. I'm sorry, but not in my world is that really a positive piece of art. You know, he has some other interesting pieces of art, but for the most part, this guy represents very violent art, you know, where somebody is being decapitated. So that's just Kendi Wiley. And we'll look at one more before we move on. Let's see David Hogg. Yeah, here we go. These are the 100 most, so the crisis actors are the influential top 100 people. The crisis actors that they are chosen. America's response to mass shooting has long followed a predictable pattern. We mourn, offer thoughts and prayers, They don't have the kind of lobbyists or big budgets for ads their opponents do. Most of them can't even vote yet. Oh, yeah, this is so hilarious. These students don't have the kind of lobbyists or big budgets for attack ads. Yeah, they do. It's called Soros. But they had the power so often inherent in youth to see the world anew, to reject the old constraints, outdated conventions. Yes, Hitler used youth as well. The power to insist that America can be better. Yep, they're making demands on America. The power to insist. They have lots of power. Already, they've had some success persuading state houses and some of the biggest gun retailers to change. Now it gets harder. A Republican Congress remains unmoved. NRA scare tactics will still sway much of the country. And now it goes on to talk about the NRA. Our kids show us that what we've been told America is all about, even if we haven't always believed it ourselves, that our future isn't written for us, but by us. That's scary. That's scary. Yeah, exactly. You kids are trying to change the future. And what did Lenin say? He said, "Give me your children, and I will give you the future. Give me just one generation of your children, and I will give you the new future. You will transform the world." That's what Lenin said about our children. And they say it right here. They make no bones about it. And I think that's what's really funny is that they don't hide their things anymore. They don't hide their intentions. They don't hide their motivations. They don't hide anything. It's right there for all of us to see plainly. Imagine if it was the other way around. Wow, and they wonder why they got Trump. If you put a black sheet over his head, then I guess he's just a Klan across the tracks. Is he black? He needs to hunt with us in Maine. Who? I'm not sure who you're talking about at this point. I'm a little confused. Kisses to you guys. Now, what we are teaching people by putting these people as, you know, the heroes of the world. And Colin Kaepernick was one of Time's also most influential people of 2017. Colin Kaepernick. He was portrayed on the cover as one of the new American heroes, quote unquote, new American heroes. So what are we teaching people? We're teaching our youth and our people in America that everything that is antithetical to American values and the values that also make successful relationships, that weakness is more important than strength, that weakness and victimhood is more powerful and more heroic than personal responsibility. What happened to the traits, the American traits of confidence and pride and accountability? What happened to all of that? It's gone completely degraded and out the window, because when we raise up and call people heroes like Colin Kaepernick, who doesn't stand for the national anthem and put his hand over his heart to represent the massive sacrifice that millions of our Americans have made for our country. They've sacrificed, they've died, they've been wounded, they've literally sacrificed their lives for our country so that we can have the freedoms that we have, and that we can have the safety and the borders and the security that we have. And we can have this American life that so many people want. You know, when you are spitting in the American flag like that, for something that's not even a real issue, it's a made-up issue, you deserve to be a hero? These are the people that they're celebrating right now, that they're lifting up and celebrating. So it's teaching us that victimhood and being a bully, being a spoiled, entitled brat with no point, with an argument that's not even based on facts, is more important than our American values of strength and pride and confidence and personal responsibility and accountability. This is what they're teaching us. They're also teaching us that material things like jealousy, like cars, you know, like money, who has more money than me, who has more social influence than me, those things are more important than love and family, relationships, marriage. Then, of course, this is what our country is going to turn into. Is this what the left's utopia is? Is this their version of perfection? I mean, to me, it doesn't make any sense how they can think that living in this kind of a country that's lawless and that's completely uncivil with each other, where we have no rules, where we have moral relativity, that this is a better world to live in than the world of American dream. It's crazy talk. I'm just looking at the comments now. Well, here's the thing about Colin Kaepernick. I feel like if we're, and this is, you know, my opinion, I know I should stay in my lane, but there are so many other problems that are really going to, I believe, influence the Black community and all of us, actually, like fatherlessness, right? 84% of Blacks in America have fatherless homes. They come from fatherless homes, right? The fatherlessness, especially in the Black community, is out of control right now. And it's a huge issue, right? Because if we have fathers that are present in the home and we had intact family and marriages, then we wouldn't, then Blacks and whites wouldn't be getting into so much crime. They wouldn't be getting into so much poverty. They wouldn't be getting into so much trouble. So that in and of itself, that and the drug problem, the drug addiction problem, and education, better education for our schools, better, and not just bogus liberal education, but education like teaching them the values of pride in yourself and responsibility, right? And taking accountability and success through hard work and commitment and merit and talent instead of sucking off the government. If we taught those values in school, again, and if we encouraged fatherhood, encouraged the intact family, then don't you think a lot of the problems that are facing the Black community would go away? Don't you think a lot of these problems would be reduced in not only the Black community, but in our country? Right? And instead of indoctrinating women to go to work more and to work just as hard as men, ditch your babies in daycare, work longer hours so that we can make that gender parity, what if we encouraged mothers to actually stay at home for the first couple years of raising their children and be more of a hands-on mom and celebrated that? Because the facts show that you're going to have more successful, well-adjusted children when a mother stays home, or at least one parent stays home for a couple of years. What if we encourage those things? Those, I feel, and well, it's statistically proven that those are really real problems that have numbers behind them that are affecting the Black community. If we did those things, if we all got behind that, because those are things we can all get behind. We all see evidence of that every day. If we can all get behind that, together we can unite as a country, and we can all still be patriotic and salute the flag and unite as a country. But for as long as Black people say that there's the reason for their problems is institutionalized racism, and they create examples like this, like the Starbucks incident, or, you know, they get pulled over and they think that their only reason they're getting pulled over is because they're Black. I mean, I get pulled over, right? I'm white. I can say the only reason they're pulling me over is I'm Italian. That's Italian racism. Who knows? But if they always blame their problems on institutionalized racism, that's something that is never really, there's no measure on that. There's no way that we can really measure it, and there's no way it really goes away. Because studies have proven that we actually have a natural affinity to our own kin. We actually have a natural affinity to our own family, right? We call it like basically the people in our own kin or our own tribe, our own ethnic group. We do have a natural affinity for them. And it doesn't mean that we don't respect or like other people from another culture any differently, any less at all. It's just proven. It's something about in our DNA, and I can go over this study in a future podcast. But there's something in our DNA that makes us just feel more protective or more affiliation towards our own kin. That's what it's called, our kin. So when in the context of like who we're going to protect in just a split second, if we're in that dangerous situation, are we going to protect our family? Or are we going to protect someone outside our family? Our very first human instinct is we're going to protect our family. And this kind of affinity towards your own kin is actually totally natural and totally human and totally healthy in a society. And it allows us to be protective of our kinship. It allows us to have, sovereignty over our own families. And this is a good thing, but it's never going to go away because it's part of human nature. It's how we were designed. So what people might say is racist, which is what they're saying now, this is racist, there's no way to really reduce that. This is just a human phenomenon. And they're also taking racism out of hand and using that as a weapon to tar and feather people that are just simply enforcing rules, for instance. Or that they're choosing people to be on a team or choosing people to be punished based on merit or based on something that they actually did. They broke a law or they look suspicious. That's why they're being punished. Not because of their skin color. That's why they're being chosen to do this thing. Not because of their skin color. But when Black people are indoctrinated with this belief all their life that there's institutionalized racism, all it does is create a self-fulfilling prophecy. And they're going to look for it. They're going to be a witch hunt for it. So I feel like rather than focusing on that as the main problem to fix in the country, why don't we focus that something that we can all band together and really see, and it's tangible, it's measurable, which is encouraging fatherhood and trying to reduce that rate of fatherlessness in Black communities, helping to fix the inner cities, helping to educate people with the American values that we used to have that actually did create more thriving societies and families and more productive people. These are proven facts. So I feel like Kaepernick is really, again, he's just misinformation agent. He's leading the Black community totally astray and keeping them in this problem, this really made up problem, this unsolvable problem, leading them astray and keeping them in victimhood. This is what the Me Too movement is doing as well. It's keeping women in a state of victimhood and blaming the man. And Colin Kaepernick is keeping the Black community in a state of victimhood and blaming the white man, right? This is all blame. It's all victimhood. Now, let me go back to the quote in the beginning, and then we'll wrap up here. But let's go back to the quote. What did I talk to you guys about the beginning, right? Let me read that quote again. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Remember what we talked about. Love does not envy other people's situations. Envy is self-centeredness. And envy is wanting, coveting what other people have, and it's a negative energy. It's the opposite of loving energy. Envy or love also does not keep track of wrongdoings. You did this, so I'm going to do that. You did this, so I'm going to get you back. You did this and this and this that are evil, and I'm going to harp on that and use that to harbor this energy, this negative energy and hate. And we also talked about how love is the truth. Love seeks out the truth. Truth is love. And deception is not love. When you're living or speaking in deception or leading others to deception, that is not love. That's the opposite of love. So, when we looked at the stories from today, we looked at the stories of the guys, firing the girl at Starbucks just for doing her job and creating this story that this all was just about racism. That really is just a subjective story. We don't know the fact. We don't know that for truth. But we do know that she was enforcing the law. That is truth. And now she's getting punished for truth. So is this love that we're living in? Or is this not love? Or is this hate? And we're also seeing what the left is constantly doing is envying other people. It's saying, you have something that I don't. You have more money than me. You have more status than me. You have more things than me. You have more success than me. I want what you have. You must have not earned what you have. It must be because of white privilege. It must not be based on your talents. It must not be based on the fact that you work hard to get it. It must be based on systemic racism, systemic white privilege, systemic toxic masculinity. That's what it is. Systemic sexism. So I'm going to fight and fight to try to take you down so I can get more of what you have. Not by working hard, but trying to fight for it. Try to fight and take you down for it so I can steal or take more of what you have and we can be equal. All right? And the truth. How many times have we seen that the left lives in lies? Right? Like that whole gentrification story saying that, white people that are integrating into black cities. Maybe it's because they're making less. I don't know. Maybe they need to move there. But they're moving into black cities for the purpose of hurting black people. And it's the white people that are now moving to black cities that are causing black men to get arrested or killed. This is just a lie. This is not true. And it's spreading lies. All we are doing is spreading lies. That's what all the left does. So when we look at all of that, and we're in this, they teach people to be in this energy of blame, victimhood, lies, deception, and keeping score of what other people are doing and envying other people. How can anyone else with a right mind see that this is the opposite of love? This is the exact opposite of love that we're living in. So leftism is not love. Biblically stated, it is not love. Spiritually, it is not love. Factually, it is not love. All right? So we need to move towards love. And I'm not saying this is even about left or right anymore. This isn't about that. This is about living in love versus living in hate. This is about living in truth. The people that want to seek the truth, that live in the truth, versus living in lies and deception. This is about living in the values that we have known that are proven to make America great. The patriotic American, patriots versus anti-Americans, those who want to destroy the country. And this is about people who want to love and hold on to values that we know are proven to create relationships, love, marriage, and hold the family together, versus those who want to believe in values that destroy the family unit and destroy relationships between men and women. So this is not just about right. It's not about right or left. I don't care what side of the political fence you're on. I care what is the truth. And I care about what is love. Are we in love or are we in hate? And if you keep that, you'll find you're probably going to align more with the right. But even that's corrupt at this point. I just want to say this should go beyond party lines. This is about love. This is about truth. This is about being pro-America or pro your country, pro-happiness, and pro-relationships. we do need to, hard to start loving when we're hurling insults at each other. Well, exactly. We need to stop hurling insults at each other. You know, and I'm guilty of that too. I talk about this a lot. I get very angry in my sessions a lot too, but we all need to, remind ourselves of every moment of the day. Are we acting in love? Are we acting in hate? Are we acting in love or acting in envy, the opposite of love? And if we can all start acting more in love, then we can all start making small changes that lead to big changes. Yes, exactly. Truth is subjective for the left, but objective for the right. Okay, guys, thank you for the loves and hearts. I'm just checking the chat room. Hi. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I'm going to wrap up, although I can stay here all day. You guys are awesome. And I'm sorry for going a little bit longer today, but I just felt like we had to go a little bit longer today. And I'm not going to see you for a couple days, so I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you till Monday. Margaret Thatcher once said, when liberals dislike something, they want it banned. When liberals like something, they want it to be mandatory. Yeah. And by the way, I just want to congratulate and encourage all of you. I really appreciate how open and honest you are, how loving and supportive you are. I'm very blessed to have all of you, and I really appreciate you. This is becoming a family. This is the Make Love Great Again family. Remember, make love great again, not just America, but love. And it's principles that we can all agree on, no matter what side of the political fence you're on. We can all agree in love, right? And we can all agree that we all want love. So, I want to appreciate you guys, and it's hard for chat rooms to be civil towards each other when they have some opposing views. But I really applaud you guys because you are able to do it. I love how you guys can discourse, and some of you guys might have just opposing views. Some of you might have different opinions, but you're never disrespectful to each other, and I really appreciate that. You are already practicing the highest form of love just by that. So you should pat yourself on the back. You are practicing that just right here in my chat room. You're practicing love by not being rude and throwing insults at each other, but being able to discourse in a civil way. I want a koala. Okay, I'll think about prizes, who asked the best questions in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and do my closing prayer, guys, and I won't see you for a few days. Hopefully we'll have much to talk about over the weekend. Okay, guys, saying the prayer. Dear Lord, I pray that more women and men see the light and can open their hearts to love instead of hate, can open their hearts to unity rather than divisiveness, can open their minds to truth rather than lies. I pray for love and protection for our great President Trump and his family and all those working for us, that they remain safe and resilient in the face of so many forces working against them. I pray for all of you and the truth warriors of the world, that's you, who are courageously speaking the truth and defending the truth, and boldly working to bring those who are in the darkness over to the light. Put on the armor, the full armor of God, so that you will be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in heavenly places. I pray that all of you find true and lasting love, and that God puts an incredible partner in your life to be with you during this journey and bring you the beautiful family, the joy, and all the blessings that you deserve. And lastly, we know that good conquers evil, that love conquers hate, and that together and with God's help and grace, we are able to make our country and our world great again. Amen. All right, guys. You are amazing, and thank you for being with me today and on this journey. We are going to make the country, the world, and love great again. And if you want to buy my book, I highly recommend you get my book on Amazon.com. You can get it in Kindle version or paperback version, and it explains all of my theories in depth and also goes over my plan on how to make love great again and an action step for both men and women for how to attract the opposite sex successfully and how to win at dating and relationships with them. So highly encourage you get it. We can all be on the same page and then make our discourses more exciting. Ring size got me a weekend to get one. Oh my gosh, ring size. Ring size? Do you mean you're going to get a ring size? You're about to propose? That is cool. Congratulations. All right, I'll talk to you guys Monday. See you Monday at 9:30 a.m. bright and early. 9:30. Bye.